We are live. Yes. Okay. Good morning, Shreya. How's it going?
Going well. How are you, Nidhi?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And I think we are a minute early, just out of excitement. So hopefully we'll wait for another 2 minutes. It's
Okay.
9 right now. Okay, so we'll wait for 2 more minutes and then get started.
Sure, sure. What do you think of the weather in Boston? Do you like
Oh,
it?
right now, I think I love this weather. It's so much like Belgium, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
I really like it
Yeah.
because it's perfect humid and I love humid weather. You're
Yeah.
from
Wish
Karwar,
it could
right?
be. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Karwar is just humid and hot, and you're just sweating all the time.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's
But I
good.
guess I've got used to the Boston winter weathers now that I just like this 4 months are just I enjoy it, but it's not my favorite either. I
Okay,
like the fall, yeah.
interesting. So you like winter and fall better than summer, is it?
Fall. It depends. Winter, I've just got used to it. I'm fine with it. I enjoy as long as I'm sitting indoors.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. I see. I can never get used to the winter. Try reloading the page. Just a second. I'm just reloading. Okay. I can hear you. You can hear me. Just the chat is taking some time. We will do that.
I think I can also hear the background.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me mute for a. Okay, it's taking some time to load. But okay, I think let's get started. Hello, everyone. I'm Nidhi Gani, career coach, and also the co founder and co CEO of Force, Foundation of Research in Careers and Education. Today, I have here with me Shreya Shirodkar, who is a senior associate researcher in bioinformatics. More specifically, she is a data scientist in computational oncology. Let's look at her journey, how she moved and navigated her way from a biotechnology engineer to a bioinformatics researcher, leaning more towards data science. And I think this will be an exciting session because bioinformatics is the career of the future, one of the careers of the future. And we live in a digital revolution today. So, science, technology are merging at an unprecedented rate. And that's where bioinformatics becomes one of the very niche careers, which is also a very good career trajectory for somebody who's coming in from biotechnology as well as somebody who's coming in from computer science. So let's see and go through Shreya's journey and let's all get inspired from her. Thanks, Shreya, for readily agreeing to do this with me.
Of course. Thank you so much for inviting me, Nidhi. I'm very excited to be here and to share my journey. And hopefully, by the end of the session, I would have provided some guidance for those who are seeking a career opportunity in this field of biotechnology, bioinformatics.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, let's get started. So, Shreya, let's start with your childhood, right? Tell me about your childhood days and what were you interested in and what activities did you enjoy doing the most?
Sure, of course. So I come from a small beautiful town called Karwar, which is in Karnataka state of India. And so growing up, I don't have like engineers and doctors in my family. My family is business background, from a business background. So my grandfather had a family business, and then my dad continued. But my mom and dad have been always encouraging towards, getting a higher education, and encouraging me and my brother, and letting us know the importance of education, and how knowledge is power. And so they've always supported me academically, but at the same time, even extracurriculars, they were always wanted to see me and my brother, participate in different things. So growing up, I was a very active person. I was into sports. I did some athletics, and I played badminton, inter-school badminton. I also did some dance. That was a little bit of Bharatnatyam, and then a lot of Western, and then music. Music is something that I
Interesting.
still, till date, it's one of my favorite hobbies. So yeah, that was a little bit about my childhood. But academically, I guess bio obviously was one of my favorite subjects. I was good at it, and I was always curious of learning new things about living organisms. And so yeah, math, I wasn't a math person, but I guess I am now a little bit. But yeah, that was a little bit about my childhood.
Okay. So I guess that was supposed to be my question as to what subjects did you enjoy the most. So looks like it was biology. What about languages and social studies? Did you have any kind of inclination towards those subjects?
Not so much. I mean, I enjoyed English, but other than that, it was so we had English, Kannada, and maybe later on Hindi.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I enjoyed English, and I was more of science, physics, biology, that person. Then I was interested in the other fields. I was good academically, though. I scored well in all my
Yeah.
subjects. But yeah, in terms of interest, I was more inclined towards science.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I guess then the natural course for you would be to take like science in your 11th and 12th, right? So
Yes.
did you always know that, okay, throughout did you always know that I'm going to study biotechnology, or what did you want to become when you grow up? Like, and does that match today, right? We'll come to that later, but what was it that you wanted to become when you grew up, and the motivation behind taking science in your 11th and 12th?
Yes, so I was interested in biology, but at the same time, we also had this one small topic of biotechnology in my 10th standard, so like way back. And it was very small. It was a one page, and it spoke about cloning, and, Dolly the ship, where, you
Yeah,
clone
I remember that.
people in the lab. And so I got very curious about that, and I was like, okay, this is something that, I could try. Let's see what this is. And I just realized that, okay, this is what I need to do. So that is when I moved to Belgium, and very early
Hmm.
on, at the age of 15, 16, because there was limited opportunities back then in Karwar for
Yeah,
higher education.
absolutely.
So I moved to Belgium, and that is where I did my pre-university with a concentration on biology.
Got it. So never being a doctor was on the cards for you?
No, not that I can think of. No, there is this misconception, I guess, of people that MBBS and biotechnology, like being a doctor and being in the field of
Mm-hmm.
biotechnology, is
Mm-hmm.
same or similar, and those who do not want to, like, get through all those many years of doing MBBS can go into biotechnology, but that's
Right.
not actually the case. They are two different fields. So
Absolutely.
yeah, in MBBS, you would treat patients, you're authorized to treat,
Mm-hmm.
you will perform surgery, you will perform
Yeah.
procedures. And whereas biotechnology is all about living organisms, it's not just human body, it's about all plants, animals, microbes, and it's a vast field.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that has to do with using living organisms to maybe develop a process, improve a process, develop a product,
Mm-hmm.
or solve a problem, any derive a conclusion, everything is biotechnology. So yeah, my interest was in the latter. So,
Absolutely. No, that is a perfectly positioned point. Like many people have this misconception that if you like biology, then medicine and becoming a doctor is the only route that looks feasible for everyone. And somehow they feel like that only MBBS and being a doctor is going to help their financial situation as well.
right.
And somehow all the other fields of biology and biotechnology are not as valued, like because it's everything to do with natural world, and it's
Yes.
so vast, whereas I feel MBBS in fact is more specific, and it narrows your scope of curiosity, I think, because it boils down to only human body and the treatment of it. But
Yes.
here it's like,
Exactly.
here you're looking at fermentation, making of the vaccines, even like extraterritorial life as well. And it's very fascinating. I absolutely am thrilled about learning about biotechnology, and I sense the same excitement that you have. So then, once you finished your 11th and 12th in science field, did you always know that, okay, during that period, what was going on in your mind? Were you assessing different careers that you would want to choose, like subjects, or were you like pretty clear that, okay, I need to do biotechnology itself? And if yes, then how come you chose bachelor's in engineering rather than BSc? Because that's also the contradiction that goes on in people's mind, right? Yeah, because when I was growing up, when I did biotechnology engineering, everyone around me was, you're not even a doctor, you're not even a BSc grad, like what is this
Right.
in between thing, right? That
Yes.
was the thought process.
Yeah, I heard, yeah, I mean, I got that a lot too. So I guess, yes, I always was interested in biology and biotechnology specifically. And even during my pre-university, we went into slightly deeper topics on, DNA, RNA transcription, and all of those
Mm.
factors that,
Mm.
you study in biotechnology. And that
Right.
is when I was getting more and more curious and fascinated by what is this field, what are the career opportunities in this field. And I did do my research. I did know at that point that biotechnology, especially doing that back in India, would narrow down my opportunities. But I was aware of the fact that there are opportunities abroad. So there was always that factor that I considered. I didn't know until the last minute that I came here that I was going to actually come here in the United States. But that was always a factor that I considered, that okay, I am going to do something like this. So that is why I moved to biotechnology and engineering in biotechnology. The engineering part, though, is, yeah, I've always wanted to follow my passion, but at the same time wanted to stay relevant in, I guess, the current situation. And
Right.
since engineers obviously have a higher scope and I would have that title with me, but also along with that, there are pros and cons of doing it. But I guess because I wanted to, I've always planned on coming abroad, and a 4 years degree plays a huge role when you're applying for universities outside. There are very few universities that would entertain a three years course. You would
Right.
have to do some additional
Mhm.
courses before you come in. Also, I guess in terms of practical experience, of BTech or BE has
Mhm.
more opportunities than
Mhm.
BSc, where you are going deeper and deeper into the science of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too, because BSc, I think you have to be very clear that you want to get into research.
Yes.
And with that aim, if you choose BSc biotechnology, it works wonders. But again, the drive and passion should be there, because these are fields that don't initially have as much demand as soon as you graduate. As your
Yes.
experience grows, sure, but yeah, like BTech, I think the doors open for moving into manufacturing as well, quality assurance, and all these areas as well with biotechnology, whereas BSc kind of narrows you to just research. So I think people have to be very clear before making that decision whether they want to get into bachelor's in biotechnology or as an engineering or BSc.
Yes.
So when you were when you were studying bachelor's in engineering biotechnology, what were your favorite subjects in all those 8 semesters?
So I learned like there was this different areas of like different topics that were covered during my field. It wasn't specific.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy microbiology. That was one of the things that
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing, playing around with microbes. And I did a couple of internships as well in the field of microbiology. I also enjoyed bioinformatics. When we had this one or subject in bioinformatics, and when I got to that, I was fascinated by it because now you're combining biology with computer science with data, and that is something that again is more relevant in this field. Like it keeps your options flexible. I did some mini projects in bioinformatics, and so that was also something that interested me. Apart from that, another subject that we had was forensics, which which was fun. It was, now you're detecting, you crimes with biotechnology, where you're studying DNA fingerprinting, you're studying like how insects play a role in
Mhm.
detecting crime. So yeah, I guess these three subjects were there were other subjects that I enjoyed. Biochemistry was a little difficult for me,
Oh
I
yeah,
guess, but
I
yeah,
barely passed.
yeah, but these were some of my favorite subjects.
Got it. Tell me more about your internships, right? How many internships did you do, and what do you think you learned from those internships?
I have I have done multiple internships back in my bachelor's, and I think that is one of the things that has played a huge role in my career growth. You get technical experience, you get to work with real world experimentations, and you also get a lot of professional skills. You're getting out of your comfort zone, and you're learning all these new skills that you wouldn't get when you're in your academics. So I wanted to explore. So it's very interesting. I did one small internship, like a summer internship at Nestle chocolate factory, along with my best friend. Like we together
Yeah.
always planned on doing this internship. She is now in Canada. She's also in the similar field,
Mm-hmm.
doing really great. So we were in the at Nestle, we were in the microbiology department. So
Mm-hmm.
identify different areas and to determine if a bacterial threshold is going above a certain limit, in because you're working in like food industry now, so
Yeah.
you need to take care of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I did one in biocon, where again a summer internship where I was in the wet labs, and I was in
Mm-hmm.
protein purification in the downstream department.
Yeah.
Processing of the downstream is where you process all the molecules once they are generated. So you're doing chromatography and all of those
Mm-hmm.
experimentations. So that was again an interesting internship. And I did one at the Indian Council of Medical Research, which was
Okay.
again like a very, it was a research based, and I met a lot of very very lovely people even there, who taught me many different skill sets. And this was
Mm-hmm.
towards doing your day-to-day experimentations in biotechnology, which I think was missing in my academics. These were simple experimentations like
Yeah.
electrophoresis, PCR, that you do in your day-to-day, and you should do and learn in your academics. So that was a good again a good opportunity for me. So I did develop a lot of different skills, and also
Mm-hmm.
built a strong network of professionals while um, doing.
Doing the internship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might have also helped you like really understand what a day to day looks like as a
Yes,
biotechnologist and
agreed.
in the lab, which I think is super important because
It
when we
is.
are in college, we are it's a lot of theory even though we have labs. Like I came to the US to do microbiology and immunology because I loved those subjects, and trust me, when I was in the lab, I could not even make a gel. It was very, very embarrassing because I didn't know how to make a gel. I did couple of internships, but I did not do hands-on experience. It was more like field visits and really just be in the lab, see what they're doing, but hands-on was missing, and that I think set me back a lot. And I realized that okay, lab is not for me, and I withdrew from that. But I guess
Yes.
these kind of experiences are helpful. Tell me
Yes.
about that time where your professors did not allow you to sit for internals because you were going for
Yeah.
internship. How did
Yeah.
that make you feel?
It was, yeah, that was an interesting situation. I mean, so this was during my internship with in Biocon, and so me and my friend, we were very excited about it, and we did take permission. You do need to get a permission from your college that you are okay. We are authorizing you to go and get some experience. And so what happened was, so the internship, the end date of the internship overlapped with the start date of my semester. So there were a couple of days that we had to miss during our like the semester start,
Hmm.
and that we came in, we were doing fine, and we have this internal test, and those marks do add towards your final semester. And uh, and our professors, they let me and my friend know that we would not be able to sit in this particular test because we were short on our attendance. And we did try to tell them that, hey, we did take permission, right, and we were doing something like, and they were like, no, it has to be standard for everyone, and we cannot make an exception because you're going for an internship, so you won't be allowed. And that was I was surprised, because I did something that could help my career growth. And I could have gone home. I mean, I stay away from home. I could have gone home. I could have like taken a trip, relaxed. But I chose to do this. And believe me, these internships have played a huge role. When I say it, I don't say it lightly.
Hmm.
And so I was surprised how much academics and scoring plays a role in the field where your entire, if you're choosing a field of
Hmm.
biotechnology, you are not going to be sitting writing answers. You are going to be performing experimentations in the lab. So that experience was disappointing, but yeah, you get to learn things from each
Yeah.
experience.
And I guess you'd choose doing the internship over
Of course.
attending the conferences again,
Of
right? Yeah.
course.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for the students who are listening, that choose internships, because these are your window towards experiencing real life projects very early on in your bachelor's. Having said that, Shreya, so after you finished your bachelor's, you chose to do your master's in bioinformatics, right?
Yes.
Or actually, yeah, bioinformatics. I wanted to say biotechnology, but you moved towards bioinformatics as your major. I will let you answer that. But I want to say, so during that year, you did not come immediately to the US for your masters. So you took a year's time. What were you doing during that year, and how did you come to the conclusion that bioinformatics is something that you want to study? Because bioinformatics is a lot of coding and programming as well, which many students are averse towards when they choose biotechnology, and their main motivation is to not get into programming, and that's why they would choose biotechnology. But now this is very counterintuitive what you chose for your masters. So how did you go through that process?
Yes. To answer the first part of your question, the year gap. So I wanted to spend some time home because I was away from home for quite some time. My pre-university, my bachelor's was all in Belgium, and although I am very
Yeah.
close to my parents who stay in Belgium, I wanted to go back home to
Mm-hmm.
Karnataka, spend some time there. So during that time, I did a couple of courses. I studied a little bit of programming, and I also um, did my exams, GRE, TOEFLs, that you have to give if you want to come abroad. But at the same time, I soon realized after like 6 months down the line that I want to do another internship. And that is when actually I did the internship at Indian Council of Medical Research. I
Mhm.
went back to Belgium, and that was a longer internship. I did around 6 7 months of internship before I moved to the US, because at that point I had realized from my friends who were in the US that internships do play a larger role. So I wanted to get a little more experience before moving out. Coming to bioinformatics and why I chose bioinformatics. Firstly, bioinformatics is where you combine biology with computer science. Now, I am following my passion along with something that is, hyped in the overall industrial environment. But at the same time, when it comes to programming, I was not that person that hated programming. I just liked biology a little more. And so that is how I pursued my bachelor's in biotechnology. But when I got introduced to this course of bioinformatics, I was like, okay, this is something now I would be able to keep my options flexible.
Mhm.
And so that is the reason I chose bioinformatics. I do want to share a little bit of what bioinformatics is and
Absolutely.
how this plays a role in most of the companies.
Mhm.
So, in bioinformatics, you have expertise in two fields now. You're coming as an expert in biology as well as expert in computer science. In today's world, in this biological, like medical world that I am in, there's a huge data that is being generated day to day. This like giga, penta, terabytes of data that is being generated. Now, biologists and biotechnologists, they are, uh, in the labs performing experimentations,
Mhm.
and you need someone to understand this data, analyze this data, build some tools for this data that could make it, human. Some of these biological data set are not even in human readable formats, so you need to process these data. So this is where the field came in, where you're coming with
Mhm.
true expertise. Now, if you choose someone, if from computer science, because they know programming and they want to come in this field and process biological data sets, they do not have, they would lack that biological, the science of it all. They would have to learn a whole different subject called
Right. I
biology.
think they like miss the biology as an expert, right? Because if you're dealing with a lot
Yes.
of data from genes and proteins and DNA, only a biotechnologist person is going to understand the essence of that data, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly, exactly. And at the same time, the person who's working in the lab, they do not have the skills to process such large data. They would have to take in programming. So this field was introduced to you know, get an expert in two fields together to communicate between the biologist and the computer science people, to sort of bring all of this data to sense and create a story out of the data that we are generating. So that was very interesting to me. So I guess that is the reason that I chose bioinformatics.
That's very interesting. So, can you tell me, like, what skills did you like? Okay, before I move to skills, I want to understand when you were learning programming, was it easy for you, or how did you go about it? Because you have not touched programming for a very long time, maybe a little bit because bioinformatics and database management were a few subjects, like MATLAB was there. But
Yeah.
did that even help you get a good kickstart into programming, or did you have to start from scratch?
Um, so MATLAB, yeah, I remember that course. I'd almost forgotten about it. There are few companies out there that use MATLAB because it needs licensing, so people have moved towards a
Mm-hmm.
more programming language. So the course at Northeastern, the reason I also chose Northeastern is because their courses were designed, the curriculum was designed in such a way that you come in as a beginner in programming or in biotechnology from different, because there were computer science students that wanted to now learn bioinformatics. So it was designed in such a way that you come in as a beginner all the way to the advanced level of programming and biology.
Mm-hmm.
So that made it easier for me. And there are also the certain programming language, like when you're in computer science, Java is something that you learn, and
Mm-hmm.
it's good to have that. Obviously, it's good to have knowledge of more uh, programming languages, but in bioinformatics, right now, the most relevant programming languages are R, Python, and even Bash scripting. So these are the three programming languages that were taught to me during my course, during my academics, and during my internship that I took during my uh, master's degree. So yeah, that is.
Okay. Yeah. So it looks like you not need not have a background in coding or programming. You can directly take this up in your masters, and you
Yes.
would still have the time, the capability, and the course is designed in a way where you can learn as a beginner and then grow into the field, because you anyway already have the biotechnology expertise, and that way I guess you're in a very good position. The advantage is yours because the healthcare industry is only booming right now. So during your masters, when you were learning programming, how easy was it for you to find internship opportunities in your masters, and how was it different from the internships you did back in India, because the culture is so different, right?
Yes, yes. So, starting with my programming experience, when I came here in the United States, it was, you're an independent person. You are not just taking care of your academics, but you're also taking care of your finances, you're taking care of your day to day chores and food, everything. So I did have to juggle a little bit. I did take up like odd jobs. We can talk about that later. But coming to academics specifically, I had to spend a couple of extra hours then in other fields. I did have to take up assignments, but the course was designed in such a way that each assignment that you take is a mini project, is something that is adding value to your profile. So it created a story. So I'm working on programming it. They're giving me a data set and they're telling me to find a meaning in this data set, develop a pipeline for this data set. And so it was I enjoyed doing that part. So I enjoyed doing it. I did have to put in a couple of extra hours, but I didn't mind it because it was really good. I did enjoy that part. I'm sorry. I think I missed the second part of
No,
your
I think
question.
I think you answered it. So can you tell me in your masters itself how much percentage of the subjects were into programming and coding, and the remaining would be in biotechnology? So that way the students have that overview that okay, is the course only programming or does it have a mix and match?
Yes, there is a flexibility to take biotechnology related courses.
Mm-hmm.
I chose to do data science
Mm-hmm.
and most of my subjects. So you have this some subjects that are mandatory, which are again very important. They are like uh, programming, but working with the biological data sets that
Mm-hmm.
the industries are looking at right now in this field.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same times we also had concentrations. We had a concentration in biotechnology. So if anyone who's interested to have that experimentation background to work in the wet labs, they could choose that concentration. There was also other concentration called chemoinformatics. I'm not so aware of what exactly was taught in that. Maybe using the database itself that are already generated. I'm not sure, sir. So don't hold me on to what I've just said. But my field was mostly data science, where I was taking biological data sets and working from retrieving them, storing, creating a database, analyzing the data, bringing tools to analyze this data, or developing some pipelines to analyze this data, also building applications for this data such that um, they can be reproducible in the future if you wanted them to be. So that was my experiment. We also developed machine learning models for biological data sets. So that was also a part of my course. So it was vast, and there are definitely options out there, definitely more than what I just spoke about. But yeah, that those were some of that I am familiar with right now.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I think the course sounds very exciting. Although it does seem intimidating as well, to be honest, because coming from a biotechnology background, when you start talking about data and its architecture and machine learning models and all of that, it does feel intimidating. But I guess if you do have the opportunity to learn it as a beginner in your masters, then I guess like it's a very lethal combination to come from a biotechnology and a computer science background, because that I don't see any other field advancing human health or human species this intimately as bioinformatics is doing, I guess. So that's the exciting part of seeing these two merge. So tell me about your first role and your current role in Takeda. What was your day to day like? Is this what you expected going into corporate world, coming from a biotech background, that this is what you want
Yes.
to do? These were is does this match your expectation of your
Uh,
lifestyle?
yeah. In short words, yes, it does. But yeah, I've had different experiences, even though they were in same biotechnology pharmaceutical companies. So my first experience here was in the US. I think that was the question that I missed answering.
Mm-hmm.
So
Tell
our
me.
curriculum also included an optional internship or co-op, as we call in Northeastern, opportunity, where you get to be a part of. A, an industry and perform the day-to-day tasks of a bioinformatics person or the field that you are in. Uh, One sec. Yeah, I think you got lost for a couple of minutes there. Okay,
Okay.
you're back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Uh, yeah, so that was my first experience, and even to get that internship, my previous internship played a huge role. So that so as I already did have a couple of experiences, it was easier for me to get into this field. Everyone's experience is different over here, so my experience turned out to be a little more. Um, I think we lost Nidhi here.
Hello. I'm
Yeah,
back.
hi.
Sorry. I think my internet is going crazy. Okay, yeah, tell me.
Yeah, yeah. So where was I? Yeah, I was talking about my internship. So by even before I graduated, I had done some valuable projects that the companies wanted to see. So I had that in my pocket even before I started
Okay.
my new role, and because of that and because of the profile that I had created, I was even able to secure my first job a month before I graduated. So my
That's
experience there
cool.
was very smooth. It also depends on the location that you're in.
Hmm.
Boston is the biotech hub, so you'll see like thousands of companies in biotech pharmaceutical, from startups all the way to multinational companies right here in Boston. So
Yeah,
I think that also plays a role when you're looking for a job.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And yeah, so my first role was more toward it was a smaller company. It was a clinical stage biotech company. That means
Mm-hmm.
that they still don't have a drug approved but are in the process of that, so they are in the clinical stage. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a smaller group of people, and I was in the computational biology department. So my activities were again developing pipelines, developing applications for biological data
Mm-hmm.
sets, centralizing the data. I've also done some literature mining, wherein you build a pipeline and scrape through and extract all the data from the biological data sets and the biological literatures that are out there. So that was also an interesting project that I did. And now moving on to Takeda, since it's a multinational company, they already have products out there, so it is
Mm-hmm.
business focused. So I'm getting to see the business side of it now. So these are two different, and there's also a larger group that you need to work with. There are a
Mhm.
couple of different processes that you need to work with. You are going to be an expert in one field
Okay.
and work in that field with different
Yeah.
groups of people.
Okay. Yeah. So to simplify to the audience, a lot of
Yes.
data that you are collecting. See, there's a lot of data available in the world currently, but we don't know how to make sense of that data, right? Because there is so much noise. And I think with bioinformatics, correct me if I'm wrong, Shreya, with bioinformatics, you're trying to clean that data, find meaning out of that data. And this is for huge cancer related genomes and data sets, because you're talking about computational oncology. So
Yeah, that is it.
you're cleaning up data from, say, the to put it very simply, from the cancer data sets, and trying to make sense of what genes are actually causing this cancer, and what how can we actually uh, utilize different vaccines or drugs that can help cure or treat cancer, right? Because you're trying to specifically target certain kind of genes.
Yes.
The human body is a very complex machine, just like the universe is. The data sets are infinite, and struggling to make sense of all of that data, is a role of a computational oncologist who is a bioinformatics researcher. And it's a very cool role. Let me put it very simply. It's a
It
very
is.
interesting role if you try to like dig deeper into it and see the impact that you're having, right? That I
Yes.
guess is very important to see where you're from. So
Yes. And I guess there are parts to this. You are also looking at, what are the changes that are causing this particular uh, maybe cancer. You are looking at different samples. You're looking at a normal human being and the one with cancer, and you're trying to identify what are these changes that this person has, this patient has, that is,
Mhm.
causing him to go into this disease state. You're also looking at, okay, where should we target? Like you mentioned, what are the parts that we should target
Mhm.
so that we can reduce that? And you're also at the end, once you've done it, if you have a drug, you've done it, you are also observing, okay, has my drug worked? Has
Hmm.
my treatment worked? You can also do that with bioinformatics.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of good experimentation, and also a little bit dark, I guess. But that's the fun of biotechnology, right? But yeah. So, Shreya, on a day-to-day basis, what skills do you generally use? Give me like top five skills which students can develop, including the programming ones.
Yes. So the top five, I would say the first is programming.
Yeah.
And in programming right now, the most important programming languages would be R when you're performing analysis, when you're doing, your analysis. When you're building pipelines, you are going to use Python. You can also use R over there, but Python is something that everyone is looking for out there.
Hmm.
And bash scripting, you're learning the shell scripting and working in the Linux environment. That is something that these are the three programming, and they are relevant right now. So
Hmm.
for example, even when I joined Northeastern University, the batch before me, they learned Perl instead of Python. And
Hmm.
now and that is how the industry worked back then, but now they've switched to Python. So this can change at any time
Hmm.
with languages and new skills coming on. This can change. The second thing, and this was again a misconception, that if I enter the field of biotechnology, I'm going to eliminate mathematics from my uh,
Right.
um,
That doesn't happen.
yeah, career. And that was one of my misconceptions even when I joined it. But if there's someone who's joining this field solely for the purpose of not having mathematics, that's totally wrong. There's a huge part where you're going to use mathematics, statistics especially, because there is a lot of data, and you need to
Hmm.
have the knowledge of probability, hypothesis testing, and other calculation. Even if you're in the lab, you're going to calculate, how much of certain ingredients or whatever they call it you put in the
Yeah.
in your experimentation. So I guess mathematics is something that you would learn, especially statistics.
Hmm.
Um, you can be a little lenient. You can know the basics of it because most of it come as packages in programming languages such as R. So you're not going to manually calculate. You're going to use these programming languages, but you should have the knowledge of that. I
Okay.
guess these are the four most important skills these days. Even cloud computing,
Mm-hmm.
since the data is huge, this is something that is important that you know to scale up and scale down and use
Mm-hmm.
different computing sources of how you're going to and storage sources of how you're going to store and work with such a large data. But that comes like in the priority that would come like in the
A
fifth.
little bit later. What about skills like, do you also need collaboration skills because you're working with a scientist as well as computer scientists as well, right? So
Yes.
probably those collaboration skills will come into picture as well, right? And
Yes,
yeah.
collaboration has again. It's again into my day to day now. There is a lot of collaboration going on in bioinformatics because now you're communicating between a biologist and on the other hand you're also communicating with the IT. So
Mm-hmm.
you are going to collaborate a lot with your team of data scientists, computational
Mm-hmm.
biologists, bioinformatics, all of those titles. You are also since you're working on the data that is generated by the biologists and they also want to see analyze the data and understand what is happening to prepare for the next set of experimentation. There's
Mm-hmm.
a huge collaboration there with the biologists, and that's day to day. That's going to be a huge part more than collaborating with the other bioinformatics scientists.
Got
But also on the other side you're going to collaborate with the IT, the cloud engineers,
it.
and
Mm-hmm.
experts in the that field, like more on the
Mm-hmm.
IT and less
Got
on the
it.
bio. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's always collaboration.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I guess let's do questions. For some reason, I'm not able to see the chat, but everyone who has questions, you all can put the questions in the comments for on the YouTube, the description that has been there on the channel. But I also have questions that have been sent to me earlier, so we can go through that. Okay, one person is asking how to start a career in bioinformatics after finishing MSc Biotechnology with no experience or computer skills.
So is this pursuing a career in bioinformatics or
Yes. Yeah,
biotechnology?
this person wants to start a career in bioinformatics, and she has already done her MSc in biotechnology, but now
Okay.
wants to probably restart or start in
Okay.
bioinformatics, right?
Yes. So since you already have the, working knowledge of biotechnology and the experiments, these are the experiments that you're going to analyze the data of. So that part you already have covered. Uh, in bioinformatics, your day to day is going to be heavy on programming.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you could start is by taking up some projects that you could do using programming languages. There are
Mm-hmm.
many programming. There are certain websites out there that you can learn from a beginners all the way to advanced level. There are certain websites that are specific to even bioinformatics where you can do uh, perform some simple tasks using
Mm-hmm.
coding languages on your DNA, RNA um, sequences. And at the same time I would encourage, maybe if you get a chance to do some internships with in bioinformatics, that could also help you in understanding how exactly the world of bioinformatics works and what exactly is expected in the industry. There's also many website where you get like data, like example data sets from real world that you can take in and go through tutorials in bioinformatics. A major part of bioinformatics these days is a next generation sequencing, where you're going to do a lot of your experimentation on the DNA and RNA sequences that are generated. So that is something I guess is of the main focus. And so if you want to be specifically into bioinformatics, that is something that you should further explore.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Start with taking programming courses, Python, R, because I guess that it's a good way to test your uh, like test the waters, right? Do you enjoy programming or not? And many times, see, it's not necessary that you have to enjoy it right from the beginning. Once you start to learn, you might start to really get the logic, and that's when you might start to get better and you start to like it. For me, being in the regulatory affairs field for the first 3 4 years, I did not understand what it even meant, right? But now I absolutely love it. That I guess that students should develop that patience to stick through a certain subject for you to really understand what it means, and then the tides start to change. What do you
Yes.
think, Shreya, of that?
Yes, definitely, definitely. I totally agree with you. And keep some time for even from your academics. If you're interested in something like this, a switch, do take up these courses. Like Nidhi said, they do help you a lot. You are going to have an upper edge on, entering into any industry. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so one other person is asking, is bioinformatics necessary for a researcher or in the field of researching? That is interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So there are many things that happen in research, right? There's like if you've done your studies or academics in biotechnology, then in short, no, bioinformatics is not always necessary. There is going to be one course, and you can, as a biotechnology expert, you can still perform some of your analysis on Excel sheets and simple. There are tools out there where you can just upload your data and perform some analysis. But when bioinformatics is for someone who just wants to play with data and wants to like slowly escape from the biotechnology world. You will need a bioinformatics with you if you're going into the field of biotechnology and working with large data sets, but that's not required if you want to be in research. Some basic knowledge of even using the databases such as Blast and other databases that are out there could just help you with being a researcher.
Got it. Yeah. So bioinformatics is very different from being in the wet lab, right? Because wet lab is you're doing day-to-day experimentations, working with assays and different microbes and wherever you are in the research. But bioinformatics has nothing to do really with the wet lab and its experimentations. Bioinformatics will be exactly, it's a completely new field. Think of it as a completely new field that is at the interjunction of computer science as well as biology, and it has nothing to do with both of them but still
Yes,
has to do everything with both of them.
agreed.
uh,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
and okay, so what about the scope of bioinformatics in India versus abroad, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think before entering into this field, this is something you do have to consider. Back when I was doing my bachelor's, the scope for biotechnology and for biotechnology still, but bioinformatics was even more, unheard of. And so the scope in India would, right now, there's good scope. I mean, I'm working with vendors here in Boston who are from India. So there are places out there, there are companies out there that, work in bioinformatics. And the but back when I was doing it, when I was just with the biotechnology degree, it was, we didn't even have a lot of campus selection. Now this also depends from, I guess, university to university. Other universities might have had it, might have had better opportunities. There are definitely companies in India like Biocon and others that I just mentioned that do have these positions, but it is an entire switch when you move to, especially I can talk in terms of US and in terms of Boston. There are large opportunities. I have seen people moving from computer science to bioinformatics and biotechnology because there's just so much scope here. And in terms of jobs and in terms of companies, so that companies from startup all the way to multinational. And biotechnology is such a field that the research is never going to stop, and the research is going to continue. There are going to be new drugs that are going to be uh, developed, so there's never going to be lack of opportunities, but you do need to do your research into where exactly you what steps you would have to take. You probably would have to go abroad for a better opportunity, but even in India, if you're interested in it, there are definitely opportunities out there.
Yeah, a lot of different startups are coming up, like Annalise AI, Cambrian Bioworks. I know one Nirmaya or Nirmala Analytics. So a lot of, see, India's economy is only going to grow from here, and even the government is investing heavily in the healthcare industry, although not as much as is expected, but there is growth. So if I think now it boils down to you as a person, what how good you are with your skills, how passionate you are about the field, and you have to seek opportunities very aggressively. Otherwise, any career that you choose, it is not going to be fruitful if it is not going to come from within for yourself, right? So
Yes.
that I think is very important. And all right, so I guess, like, one last question I would have for you, Shreya, is, going back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Um, I guess there are a couple. First one would be get out of your comfort zone. I did that. I did internships, and like I mentioned, I took on activities. I could have done more. There
Mm-hmm.
were opportunities in front of me that I did not seek. For example, one of those was, I had opportunity to publish some papers back in India, which do play a huge, like if you're a researcher,
That
publishing
would
paper
have been
add
amazing. Yeah.
values, right, to your yeah, career. So that is something, like, attending conferences, attending poster sections sessions, and also presenting in front of audience. Like, this is a I think in any field, presenting is something that you need to learn and be good at. So that is a skill that I would have gone back and maybe uh, worked more on and participated more, especially in the conference and poster presentations and any other presentations out there. Um, I guess do your research before entering the field. Yes, follow your passion, but at the same time, follow. At the end of the day, you want to make a career out of it. You want to enjoy it, at the same time earn money, and it's just the way it is. You cannot hide that fact. So do your research and understand where you would add most value to, even before joining the field, and understand. For example, I didn't know that biotechnology had mathematics. That is something that I should have seen before. So do your thorough research on it, and I guess just be confident. Confidence is a key to, and this is something that I've learned now. And okay, also develop a strong professional network. I did some of that, but there's more to it. This field is such that networking plays a huge role. So do network with professionals in your field and stay in touch with the people that you work with.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are all like great points. And I hope the students in the audience have taken note of that and try to incorporate those in your day to day activities. So to sum it up, I would say that look for internships, very important. Develop skills, basically networking, collaboration, presenting skills, communication skills. These are all very important to have. Do your thorough research, uh, whether you are entering biotechnology or any of the other fields. You cannot escape from mathematics. A little bit of mathematics, I think,
It's
is
good,
healthy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And you
it keeps
enjoy.
people.
You definitely enjoy it after a point. Now, right now, I mean, that's my day to day, so I do enjoy that part of it, but I would be more
Yeah.
prepared if I knew about that before. So
Yeah, because it's also intellectually stimulating. I think it's very important that to keep our brains from aging so rapidly, we can do many different activities
yeah.
like these and use that as an opportunity. And just because you did biotechnology or BSc microbiology and all these areas does not mean programming is out of scope for you. If you want to switch your career, or if you want to move into one of the careers of the future, it literally is learn a programming language. It is not that difficult these days, especially with prompts that you receive from chat gpt and all
Right.
these language models that are there, llm. It has become easy. It's about you learning to utilize a tool. And upskilling is always there, be it whether you're in marketing or whether you're in biotechnology. Upskilling is very, very important. So considering all of that, I would say that biology is one of the most powerful tools that humanity has. Think of it that DNA is your software, and proteins are your hardware, while the cells are your factories. With that mindset, if you will approach biology, bioinformatics can be a very fruitful, intellectually stimulating, and also very financially appetizing career that is available, and it's only going to grow from here. Since there are I'm not able to see any other questions, but I know there are a few of them in the YouTube live chat. I will answer them later on, right in the comments, but I will close the show. Thank you everyone for joining. This has been a very exciting time for me, as well as Shreya as well, I hope so. And
Okay.
thanks, Shreya, for joining.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Nidhi. And thank you, everyone. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if anyone is planning or even interested in learning more about bioinformatics.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.